Hi, so here we are at Ladies Bridge, which is the one of the oldest established crossing points of the River Don here in Sheffield. And in fact here, where the bridge is here, it would have been crossing in the days to the castle, which would have been positioned directly behind me. There's no castle ruins, or rather there are castle ruins, but they are very, very few and not accessible at all. In fact, there was up until the last 5 or 6 years, maybe 10 years probably, I'll lose track of time sometimes, there was a very thriving market on the site of what used to be the castle, so there was nothing really to see in regards to the castle itself. You could arrange to go and see the castle ruins, but it was only by appointment, and so really there was never really anything that was easily publicly accessible on there without actually jumping through a lot of hoops and whatnot. But now I believe they're actually going to be sort of doing some work there. So as I say, I'm going to do the 5 Weirs Walk today, which takes us from here along the River Don up to Meadowhall. Here's the bridge. So here is the point where the River Sheef, coming in from under that bridge there, meets the River Don here. So this is the confluence of the River Sheef and the River Don. And some point I'll walk down the River Sheef because I know there is a nice little walk there as well. But today's walk is going to take us along the 5 Weirs Walk. So I just need to get across this road and we will carry on down the 5 Weirs Walk towards Meadowhall. Okay, the big building there, that is the Victoria Hotel as it used to be, or the Royal Victoria Hotel as it used to be. And it used to be the hotel attached to the Victoria railway station. I mean, if you look on trains to Sheffield, it only mentions one railway station because Sheffield does only have one active railway station, but up until the mid-60s, Sheffield had 2 railway stations. They had the Sheffield Midland, which is now Sheffield Station, and they had up here, in fact, if you look in front of you, you can see these arches and the brickwork here. That was the position of the Sheffield Victoria Station, and that was essentially the line that went east to west. So this went out through Penistone and under the Woodhead, through the Woodhead Tunnel to Manchester. And I remember when I was very young, actually getting a train from here with my parents to Blackpool from Victoria Station, and there was access from the Wicker up to the station here, but it closed sort of I think mid-60s, and that was lost. And then the Woodhead Tunnel is no longer available. That's now actually used by the National Grid, and there's power cables that go through it. So this is what's called the Spider Bridge, because it's actually, we're actually walking directly above the river. And this was constructed quite a while ago. It's funny because I've done parts of the 5 Weirs Walk before, but I've never actually done this bit because it's often been closed for under repair and things like that. But it's nice to walk under here. So we're heading back along the river, and here it's the first of the big weirs. Another little interesting snippet here is on our right here, where there's this big wall. There used to be two massive gasometers. Now what a gasometer is, it's those big round structures that store gas. And the point of those that they would store gas for domestic use, and they would fill up with gas and they would grow, and then basically what would happen is that if you opened your taps, then obviously the pressure of the dome pressing down the gas would deliver the gas to your house. And I remember being at school one day, and I remember I was in Piebank school, so it must have been before I was 10, 11 years old, so younger than that. So I'm talking about late 60s, maybe early 70s. One of them blew up, and it was killed several people. But I remember the thud of the shockwave hitting the windows of the school and making them all rattle. Thankfully, none of them actually broke. But yeah, it was. Everybody wondered what was going on. But yeah, so that was just here. I'll see if I can link to an article about that in the description below. Just to say that if you're enjoying this walk at all, if you're still here with me, then you must be enjoying it to a certain extent. Please stick a like and a subscribe into the below, just to sort of let me know that you know, some people are actually enjoying the content that I produce. Also, it helps the channel. It doesn't cost you anything, but it does mean that basically the algorithms to do with YouTube will pick up that like and probably recommend this to other people who like this content. So also, please, if you remember any of the things I'm talking about, the gas explosion, you know, the rivers here, etc. So here we are, we've just come out of that section and we find ourselves on Attercliffe Road, funnily enough. And so we've got the river here, looking back the way we've come, and we're going through over there. Now as we come up here, we've got the railway bridge here, which is the one of the main lines into Sheffield that comes from the north. So going... I am indeed. Cheers, yeah. So so the train line in front of us, to the left, it goes off towards Meadowhall, which will be at in a little while, and off to the right here, it goes into Sheffield Station on there. And so we're just going to go around the corner here onto the bridge. So this is the Burton Weir. Carved bench. Got a fish on it. Not interested. And so here we come to the Salmon Pastures Nature Reserve. So a slight little detour just to have a little look in here. Socks hung on a tree. I have no idea what that is about. But there you go. And a coat. The other thing I can think of is possibly rough sleepers who maybe use this area as somewhere to sort of bed down for the night. I can get right down to the side of the river there, which is nice. But it's interesting just standing here. It is very quiet, very peaceful. You can just about hear the noise of the traffic. Just a gentle hum in the background. But the river is it's really nice, and it's surprisingly clear. Actually, you can see the bottom of the river from here. I don't know if you can see that on the camera at all, but apparently it's quite a clean river now. It used to be one of the really badly polluted rivers, mainly because it was all steelworks from sort of, for the majority of its time coming through Sheffield. So by the time it was coming through areas like this, you would have a lot of pollution and outflow from the steelworks that would obviously cause it a lot of problems. But apparently now there are fish. Yesterday when I did the first section, I saw heron. So there's herons actually living on the river, which would tend to suggest that there is a good fish population going on there. Curving round, a little bit of faster moving water. Carved bench. So we'll go on the top path. Right, right, so here we come to another bridge. I'll put in the things what bridge it is. It looks like you can actually go underneath, but it looks a bit not very well worn. I mean, as it says here, it says during the Industrial Revolution, the Don became a grossly contaminated dead river, and since the 1970s, the water quality has been improving as a result of pollution control and the decline of riverside industry. As the river became less polluted, fish were to be found downstream of the weirs as they oxygenated the water. However, the weirs were still a barrier for migrating fish such as salmon, which used to live in the river hundreds of years ago. Now organisations are constructing fish passes over the weirs so once again they can live in the river. The river water now supports tiny invertebrates such as waterlouse, mayfly, nymph and midge larvae, which in turn provides food for birds, pied and grey wagtails, herons and kingfishers. All make their home around the river, together with moorhens and mallard feeding on algae and blanket weed. Many species such as brown trout and grayling, which has in turn led to sightings of otters. So there you go. I've not seen an otter, but I did see a heron yesterday. Now I think that the next section is still blocked off, but I will go and have a look. Okay, yeah, so I think this next section of the river is actually blocked. There was, yeah, I mean, if you come down here, you can see there is actually a fence at the bottom here, so you can't actually go on this section, this next section. And I think a couple of other YouTubers have come down here recently, and the problem is that basically during the floods a few years ago, I think 2019, so it's a long time ago, a large section of the path was washed away. So we have to do a little bit of a detour. So I'm going to probably take the camera off here, and I'll turn the camera back on when we get to the other side of the path. Right, so we're back at the other side of where the block section was. So if I just go down here, so this is so just going back on the blocked section. So this is the Five Weirs Walk at this side. So as I say, this is where the blocked section is. So this is the third weir on the river here, third weir of the Five Weirs Walk, and this is Sanderson's Weir. So what have we got here? The weir, now known as Sanderson's, has a long and interesting history. Like many Sheffield weirs, it dates from the late 16th century, probably around 1580. It was constructed on the orders of the Lord of the Manor, George Talbot, 6th Earl of Shrewsbury, best known as the husband of Bess of Hardwick and the jailer of Mary Queen of Scots. He was also one of the leading industrialists of the Elizabethan age, with interests in iron, coal and lead. Sanderson's Weir was built to provide power to two iron forges, one south and one north of the river. These were known as the Upper and Nether Attercliffe forges. There was a goit taking water from the weir to the water wheels at the forges. Upper Forge disappeared in the 1980s when the railway sidings were built, and this area was once known as the Hammer Ground and served as a football ground for the Attercliffe Football Club. The forges were operated by a long succession of leading Sheffield families, the Copleys, who became officers in Cromwell's army, and the Swallows, who built Attercliffe New Hall. In 1929, the Attercliffe Forge was taken over by Naylor and Sanderson. They were the first firm to export Sheffield steel to the USA, and the works have been operated by Sanderson since. The mill race, which served the Attercliffe Forge, can still be seen and is now an interesting backwater rich in wildlife. It flows into the former Sanderson's work, where it's still known as the Dam, although it is now covered over. The weir itself, constructed from large blocks of gritstone, surfaced with furnace slag. It was rebuilt by Naylor and Sanderson in 1825. So there's some nice little pictures here, which you can pause and have a look at if you so wish. So let's carry on. So nice view of the river. These channels at the side here, I mean it's quite loud, this channel at the side, that's like one of the channels that was added in order to allow fish to migrate upstream, because they did find it difficult to get up the weirs. The thing about the Five Weirs Walk is it is very, very people friendly. It's the vast majority of it is tarmacked, so it's easy to do. So even if you have mobility issues and you've got a wheelchair or a motor scooter, it is easy to do. In fact, it's also, I think, a cycleway, so you can actually cycle it, which is obviously a nice little run. First, in the late 16th century, the lord of the manor, George Talbot, Earl of Shrewsbury, built 2 iron forges, the Attercliffe Upper and Nether Tilts, powered by water collected at Sanderson's Weir, and conveyed by goits or channels running north and south of the river. Both the Weir and the northern goit can still be seen. I've seen the Weir, I didn't see the goit. The latter is best viewed from the Stevenson Road by range from Sanderson's Mill. Okay, so you've got to go in there. What else have you got? Stonewall River near the Meadowhall Bridge can be seen, arched outlets or tailgates from there. In 1884, the Duke of Norfolk Estate diverted the course of the river and canalised it so as to create a flat site on the south bank for Hadfield's Hecla Steelworks. So there you go, it was actually changed route slightly. Oh, this is an interesting, something that I didn't know about. It says in the 1880s, the area between East Coast Road and Newhall Road was also identified as a location for a proposed new inland port, connected to Hull by the proposed Sheffield Ship Canal. Although the project came to nothing, Newhall Road Bridge was reconstructed in its present form so as to allow larger barges to pass under. Well, that's something I didn't know. Well, there you go. So let's crack on. So yeah, it's a lovely walk actually. It's not too bad. Yeah, so I sort of started it yesterday. I did the first bit up to Attercliffe Road Bridge, then had to sort of cut it short there for various reasons, and I started again today. So it's a little bit cloudy, but the temperature's good. And to be honest, it's a really, really pleasant walk. It's not too bad. There's some bits that are a bit overgrown and don't look particularly nice. And obviously there's a few bits where you are going through, you're very much going through the industry. So basically, you know, they're a bit grotty, and some areas that are a bit messy, a little bit litter about. But overall, it's been not bad, quite. So overall, it's been quite a pleasant experience, really. I mean, this bit is lovely. This section is really nice. So if I, you know, pan across over to where we've been here, that is a lovely, peaceful area. And there you've got some industry on this side of the bank, but it's not heavy industry. You've got the river. Seen a little bit of wildlife. I've seen a squirrel and a kingfisher just flying past. But yeah, I think the small factory units here on there. But overall, it's a really nice bit, and this bit is very open, so it's particularly nice. have to divert away from the river again. Okay, so we've got the river there behind me, and this is another section where I have to divert away from the river because there's no river access for a short section here. So there's the river, and as you can see there's no direct access at the side of the river. You've got this dirty great big factory complex on our right hand side, which I think is part of Forge Masters, and you've also got the other part of, I think is Forge Masters as well, on the other side. So there's no access at all at the side of the river for the next little section, so you have to do a bit of a wander. Looks like all the section that was off to our right here on there. There's a sign here that unfortunately has been totally destroyed by vandals, but it talks about the Brightside Weir, which is just here. I always think that these signs ought to be a bit further up where you can actually see the weir, but I'll get some shots of the weir a bit further up. I'll just tell you what it says on the sign on there. It talks about the River Don being one of England's most prolific fisheries, with Atlantic salmon migrating up the river in large numbers to spawn in its headwaters. The industries that made Sheffield famous resulted in the Don Valley and the wider Don catchment saw a huge decline in fish species in the mid-1800s. Fortunately, the rivers have come back with the decline of the steel industry. We've actually got lots more fish in the river, and what they've actually built, they've built these fish passes on the river. So basically what happens is that a series of baffles or chambers allow the fish to migrate upstream again. So anyway, let's have a little wander down here again. So we'll carry on the walk, and here you'll be able to get a decent view of the weir itself. Okay, so I think here is another bit that we'll leave the river. So the river's here, and that goes straight on and under the bridge there, and then curves to the right. And again, there's no riverside access because of industry, so we have to cross over here and head up this road a little bit. We're coming towards the end. Just pop in the comments if you've ever done this walk before and some of the things you've seen. Did you do all of it? Did you do it in stages? I mean, it is possible as well that if you follow the path all the way around Meadowhall, you get to where the Tinsley locks are, and then you can walk back to town along the canal, which again is quite a nice little walk you can do. Right, so which way does it go here? Oh, that's good here. So basically I don't have to go up onto the road level. I can now actually come back down to here, and we're back. I can see we're back by the river. So I've been on the road for probably about 2 and a bit hours. I think I started this section of the walk. I think today I've walked for about 2 hours. And if you add that to the time I did yesterday, the total walk is about somewhere between 2 to 3 hours. Depends on what your walking pace is. My walking pace isn't particularly quick, but it's quite an easy walk. As I say, the only downside of it at the moment is the fact that you've got some sections that are not accessible, so you are actually forced to go onto roads, and some of those diversions take you on roads that can be very full of parked cars, particularly that section between Attercliffe Road and I can't remember, the East Coast Road, the bit that got washed away. The roads around there go on streets that do have a lot of industry and a lot of factories, so as a result those roads can get very, very clogged up with parked cars, and I would imagine that if you are in a mobility scooter or a wheelchair, that would be a bit of a challenge. But yeah, so here we are at the back of Meadowhall shopping centre. I mean, one thing that's nice from my point of view is that you go past the back side of Meadowhall where the Oasis food court is. So it does mean that once I've actually finished this walk, I will be in there for a coffee and probably some lunch, actually, seeing as it's about lunchtime. One thing about the Meadowhall shopping centre is that it was built on the site of one of the largest steel making factories in the UK. But obviously with the decline of the steel industry, that and many other of the steel making factories went into decline and eventually disappeared. And in its wake we built this temple to shopping on there. So here we go, the next bit. I've missed the sign. Let's go back there a minute. So this one is Hadfield's Weir, and this is Weir number 5 on the Five Weirs Walk. And again, it talks a bit about the little bit of a map there showing where we are. And it says on here, like much of the River Don, this view has seen massive changes, particularly in the 20th century. Up until the 1900s, this was still a rural place of small water mills and farmland. It was then transformed in 15 years into one of the greatest steel, heavy engineering and arms factories in Europe. It remained so for 80 years, and in the mid-1980s the works were demolished, leaving a derelict wasteland. And in 1990 the Meadowhall shopping mall was opened. There's a lot of information here. Let's take a picture and see if I can actually put something up on the screen about that. So yeah, just take a better picture of that. So as I said, if you carry on walking along here, it follows the river round and it meets the Sheffield canal system, and from that point you can walk back into town along the canal system, which is about an hour, an hour and a half, 2 hour walk. I'm not going to do it because I'm knackered, but yeah, just so I'm going to finish the walk here. So I'm going to finish the walk here. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you do like the walks, then do please consider giving me a thumbs up and giving it a like. It does help the channel. It doesn't cost anything. And it does mean that other people may end up seeing this on their possible feeds, and the algorithms will like it a little bit. Similarly, if you subscribe, you'll catch up on all the other walks I'm going to do. I'd say I've had a little bit of a hiatus in the last few months, where I've been sort of just really sorting myself out. I've just over the last few months retired, so I'm now retired. And which means I'm going to have a lot more time to do more of these walks. So do please consider subscribing. If you subscribe, that does help the channel. It doesn't cost you anything, and you'll be notified if you hit that notification bell when I release other videos. Also, do please put something in the comments. You know, if you like these videos, do say. I'd say today's been the Sheffield Five Weirs Walk. Have you done the Five Weirs Walk? Have you done this walk before? Have you done parts of it? What things have you seen that I've not? Is there things that I've not mentioned that you would have? Do please consider mentioning something like that. So as I said, I'm going to end the video here, and I'll catch you next time.